Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, the channel that brings you your team every single day. I suppose just general football news. I suppose you've all heard today that Erik ten Hag has been sacked as Manchester United manager. It's bad news for us. I'd have loved to have played Man United with ten Hag as manager. He was doing a fantastic job in Manchester, in my opinion. Absolutely fantastic. Gutted that he's gone. That's because I hate Man United. Anyway, let's talk about Rangers' proper problem. We have a proper problem. We do have a proper problem. Now, we knew that in the summer we needed a centre back, as was obviously the thanks to Cordoba. Obviously, that fell through as he chose to go to Norwich, City boy. Then, obviously, as well, the link then came from on that to that Kai or Kai whatever the guy was called, the Brazilian lad whose name was very hard to say. There was a link to him, but that fell through as well. I think he would have been a very good signing, very expensive signing, but a very good signing. It appeared that sort of proper then came as kind of a last ditch attempt to kind of from left field. I think, we'd even been linked with Mies Hilgers, who was the other centre back in the Twente defence. I think personally speaking, the whole proper link and signing came completely out of left field. I don't think anyone had kind of identified that. No one had kind of rumoured it. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I think it was sort of because Rangers had obviously lost Connor Goldson. We'd lost that leader and communicator at the back. Whatever you thought of Connor near the end of his career, we'd lost that kind of sort of leader at the back who organises the defence. And I think there was a little bit of that's why we went for went for proper, because he was very much the leader, the communicator at the back for Twente, and he'd done a good job for Twente. He played well in Twente's team, but I think that, to be honest with you, looking at it, Twente, had a really good season. Of course they had, but Robin Proper seems a little bit like a bit of a defensive version of Sam Lammers. That that whilst he can do it and he's very good in the Eredivisie, outside of the Eredivisie, he really is struggling. Look, I mean, he was brought in as been the big hope, the big leader in the back, and he's kind of become a bit of a weak spot, a bit of a a poor man's just a poor man's anything. I think. I think if you look back at the Thursday's game, I thought Suter and Balogun were very good, very solid in there against a very poor FCSB team. Overall, I think with Suter and Balogun, whenever they've played, have done quite well and have been fairly solid at the back. Robin Proper, a lot of time, has been the weaker link. And against Celtic, he was embarrassed. Yesterday, he was just absolutely ragdolled by whichever St Mirren forward was up there, whether that was Killian Phillips, Boyd Muntz against Mandron. He was absolutely ragdolled the hell out of, and he really couldn't cope with the physicality of the Scottish game. And I think we're seeing increasingly, he isn't coping at all with the pace of the game. He isn't coping with the physicality of the game. He genuinely is not coping at all in this team. We're facing a decision here where I think we've got to kind of sit down, look at it, and the management team have got to look at it and think, right, do we take him out the firing line for a bit? Do we kind of take him off the field, get him training, perhaps stick him in a couple of B team games, try and get his confidence back, because I think his confidence is absolutely shot to hell. Now, I'm not going to come on here and slag him off and call him shite, call him awful, call him a proper disgrace, all some of the things that have been levelled at him. But what I am saying is it's quite clear to me, as someone watching from a coaching perspective, that the guy is really struggling with the physicality, B, the speed of the game. He's almost looking a little bit like a lesser version of Ben Davies. I mean, even Ben Davies was looking, who didn't particularly cope very well with the Scottish game either. And he's looking even worse than Ben Davies to that extent. Now, some of it may be the fact that that he's perhaps not surrounded by as decent as defenders as he was at Twente. I mean, Mies Hilgers is a good player. I can't remember the guy's name who played left back now, but he was quite decent. He was linked with a fair few clubs in the summer. So I think there's perhaps an element of that as well in there. But I'll be honest with you, he really is properly struggling, forgive the pun, in the Scottish Premier League, and I think there has to be a decision taken now. We go to Aberdeen on Wednesday night, and against their strikers again, he will be absolutely ragdolled and ripped if he's put up against them. I genuinely think there's a real fear there. Now, the hope has got to be that John Suter missed yesterday's game, precautionary. Apparently he's got a few minor knocks and was suffering from fatigue, so it was felt that taking him out of the firing line was what we needed to do. So I think perhaps hopefully that he will be back, and I think Suter will be back on Wednesday night, but I think, realistically, we've got to kind of, I think now, take him out of the firing line and think of what other options we've got there, what other players we can bring in to fulfill that gap. Now, I thought that Casemiro did very well when he moved into the centre-back spot yesterday. I mean, I genuinely, honestly think that when Casemiro went in there yesterday, he actually looked really rock solid. They couldn't ragdoll him, they couldn't push him around. He was no nonsense. I think, as well as he played at right back, and I thought he did very well at right back as well. And realistically, we are stuck with James Tavernier until the end of the season. I think he is going to play and start most games. Even though he is the worst right back in Europe right now. I genuinely feel that we are going to be stuck with Tav. So look, if Cass is going to start, I think we do need to look at Cass, and we do need to look at him in a starting role, because I mean, I'll be honest with you, this is a player we've got to make a decision on. Are we going to keep this player? Are we going to sign this player? Well, the only way to make that decision is by actually playing him. You can't really say and make an informed decision on a player if you're not actually going to use him and play him. So I think we've got to perhaps give him a bit of a run out in that central defensive area. I mean, there are options there, I believe, going forward. For the club to kind of replace Proper a little bit and take him, like I said, out of the firing line. Like I said, I'm not sitting here slagging him off. I'm not saying he's shit. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just saying that at this moment in time, he is really genuinely struggling, and it's not good for him. So for me, there are 4 options. I think there's honestly 4 options we go with. And Casemiro obviously is one of the top options there. Big Leon is another one of the top options. You know that I'm a huge Big Leon fan. I absolutely love Big Leon. I think he's an absolute top man, top player. He's a guy who's Rangers through and through. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's quick still. He's ruthless. He battles. He fights. I mean, I would go with Big Leon. I personally really would. I'd go with Suter and Balogun. I thought they looked really good against FCSB. And I think Balogun, then spell him with Casemiro. I think, that's probably the options going forward. I mean, Clinton and Ciala's there as well, but I don't think we're going to see Clinton and Ciala at all in the first team this year, which kind of beggars the question. Why did we buy him? I think he came here believing he'd get first team football. I think he honestly did, and that's why he moved from Milan, where he was actually on the bench in the Champions League for them. So look, I mean, I would like to see Ciala get a chance, particularly obviously in the league games against some of the poorer opposition. The other option, of course, is Dujon Sterling. I mean, Mr. Flexible, Mr. Adaptable. I do feel for poor Dujon, though. I really do. I think Dujon suffers kind of from the fact that because he can play anywhere, because he can play right back, left back, right wing, left wing, CDM, centre back, he kind of just gets left on the bench because Clement sees him as being a useful player to have just in case someone gets hurt or someone's not performing. And I don't feel ever he's going to really get an opportunity under Clement to prove himself in any one position. I mean, personally speaking, I'd like to see him start right back. That's his natural position. That's where he plays best, and he's a better right back than James Tavernier. So, I mean, look, that is just unfortunately not going to happen. But they're the 4 options. But I think, look, we probably do need to go and get another centre back at some point. But it isn't, I don't think, at this moment in time, top of the list of our priorities. There's also Leon King as well you can take into consideration. But I think with Balogun and Casemiro, there's probably enough there to get us through to the end of the season. I think January, when it comes, priority is a 6 and a striker, a real, genuine striker, because we haven't got a proper number 9. Danio's always injured. Hamza's a good lad, but he's not ready to start yet. And Cyril Dessers is just a joke. So I think, we do need that striker. But I think now is the time to take Proper out the firing line, to properly have a look at what options we've got. I think Balogun is a proper centre-half. He's a real top-quality centre-half, as is Casemiro. He looks really good, played there really well yesterday, and certainly wasn't shoved around. So I think they are the options, guys. Let me know what you think. It is worrying, obviously, because obviously we've spent money on Proper. We are stuck with him for a few years now. Maybe, if we can get him back to the Eredivisie in January on loan with an option to buy, that could be something out there. But I genuinely don't think this lad has settled at all in Scotland. I think he is genuinely struggling. Right, let me know what you think. Please obviously smash that sub, ring that notification bell, and come and join in with the channel. If you want to become a member, that'd be really helpful. 99p, less than a cup of coffee, less than a McDonald's coffee, less than a Starbucks coffee, less than a Costa coffee. So please, other good coffee restaurants are available. Thank you for watching, and as always, on the way out, remember always, we are